Captain Alex Harper sat in the cramped cockpit of the dropship, staring at the swirling green and blue of the planet below. Virelia, a world untouched by human colonization, but in trouble. His mission was clear: help the Xylar people survive a growing ecological collapse. He tightened his harness and took a deep breath. Time to do some good, he muttered to himself. The dropship descended slowly through thick, misty clouds. The forest below was dense, alien, yet beautiful. Gigantic, translucent trees reached toward the sky, their branches glowing faintly in colors Harper had never seen before. Strange creatures moved among the foliage, their shapes shifting and fluid. He could see the hive structures in the distance, towering, organic formations that shimmered like liquid crystal. As the ship landed, a wave of nervous anticipation hit Harper. He was trained for combat, strategy, and survival, but this was different. He was here to help, not to fight. The Xylar were intelligent, their culture rich and mysterious. He had studied their records, but nothing could prepare him for meeting the Queen. Zira, the ruler of this hive, carried the life of her species on her shoulders. The ramp of the dropship opened with a hiss. Harper stepped onto the soft, glowing surface. The air was humid but breathable, carrying a sweet, floral scent. A small group of Xylar workers approached. They were tall, slender, with smooth, iridescent skin. Their large eyes reflected light in a way that made them appear almost crystalline. They did not speak, at least not in human language, but Harper had come prepared with a translator device. "Greetings," Harper said cautiously, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "I'm Captain Alex Harper. I'm here to help." The Xylar workers tilted their heads and observed him. Slowly, one stepped forward and extended a delicate limb toward the translator device. The machine emitted a series of soft clicks and hums. The Xylar's voice came through, calm but cautious. "You are human. You seek to assist?" "Yes," Harper said. "I'm here to help your people survive. I have medical supplies, technology, and knowledge that might help with the illness spreading through your hive." The Xylar worker's eyes flickered, almost like a signal. It seemed to make a decision. Another worker came forward and gestured for Harper to follow. He hesitated for only a moment before walking with them, careful not to touch anything in the glowing, delicate environment. The path wound through a dense forest, opening into a clearing dominated by the hive's central structure. It was enormous, spiraling upward like a giant shell, its surface shimmering with colors that changed as light hit it. Harper felt awe mixed with nervousness. This was the heart of the Xylar civilization, and inside lived Zyra, the Queen. As they approached the entrance, Harper noticed the sick Xylar workers clustered near the base of the hive. Their skin had lost some of its glow, and their movements were sluggish. Harper knelt beside one and gently examined a limb. The translator device buzzed quietly. "They are weak from the sickness," the device relayed. "We do not know how to heal them." Harper nodded. "I'll do what I can." He opened his pack and pulled out a set of portable medical tools, scanning equipment, and a supply of basic nutrients. He worked quickly, taking careful notes and using techniques adapted for Xylar biology. Despite his efforts, he could see the exhaustion on their faces. Healing would take time. Finally, a deep hum echoed through the clearing. Harper froze. The ground vibrated slightly beneath him. From the entrance of the hive, a figure emerged, Zyra, the Queen. She was taller than any Xylar he had seen, her presence commanding yet elegant. Her skin shimmered with shifting colors, and her large eyes held both wisdom and weariness. Harper bowed slightly in respect, unsure of the customs, but hoping his gesture would be understood. Zira's gaze met his, sharp and curious. She did not speak immediately, but the air seemed to grow heavy with expectation. The translator device clicked again. Her voice, calm and melodic, filled Harper's ears. "You are human. You enter my hive. Why should I trust you? Harper swallowed. This was the moment he had prepared for. I come to help, not to harm. Your people are sick. Your hive is in danger. I have knowledge and skills that might save them. I only wish to help. Zira's eyes studied him, analyzing every movement, every tone. She seemed to sense his sincerity. Slowly, she gestured for him to follow her into the hive. Harper's heart pounded. He was about to enter the center of Xylar life, a place no human had ever been before. Inside, the hive was astonishing. The walls pulsed gently, alive with what appeared to be both plant and neural structures. Bioluminescent veins ran through the walls, illuminating the corridors in soft, shifting colors. Harper's translator buzzed softly, capturing the subtle hums and vibrations of the hive. Zira led him to a central chamber where sick Xylar were clustered. She gestured toward them, then looked at Harper expectantly. "They are yours to help," her voice said through the device. Harper knelt beside the nearest Xylar, examining symptoms carefully. He administered nutrient solutions, adjusted their environment, and applied treatments adapted from human medicine. Hours passed, but Harper never tired. He felt a strange connection to these creatures, as if his desire to help created a bridge between species. Zira watched silently, her eyes studying him closely. Harper noticed a flicker of emotion there, something like approval, perhaps even admiration. For the first time, he realized that helping was not just about medicine, it was about trust, respect, and understanding. By the end of the day, some Xylar had improved. Their skin glowed faintly again, and their movements were less sluggish. Harper allowed himself a small sigh of relief. Zira approached, her presence both commanding and gentle. "You have skill," she said, "but more than that, you have empathy. That is rare among your kind." Harper smiled faintly. "I only wanted to help." Zira's eyes softened slightly. "Then you may stay, observe, learn, and continue to assist. The hive will judge you, but your actions speak louder than words." As Harper settled in for the first night in the hive, he could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He was not just a soldier or a visitor, he was now part of something larger. His mission to help had begun, and with it, the first steps toward an extraordinary bond between human and Xylar. Outside, the forest of Virelia shimmered under twin moons. Harper looked out over the glowing trees and the bustling hive below. He felt a strange mix of awe and hope. Humanity had reached countless worlds, but here, in this alien hive, his simple desire to help could change the course of a species' future. And somewhere in the depths of the hive, Zira watched him, curious about this human who entered her world not as a conqueror, but as a healer. The morning light filtered through the translucent walls of the Xylar hive, casting soft green and blue hues across the chamber. Captain Alex Harper woke on a simple platform provided by the Queen's aides. He stretched and rubbed his eyes, still marveling at the hive's structure. Every surface seemed alive, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. Harper knew today would be another challenging day. The sick Xylar still needed his care, and the Queen, Zira, was watching him closely. He rose and went to the central chamber, carrying his medical tools. Already, some of the Xylar were beginning to move more freely. Their skin shimmered again, though faintly. Harper smiled. Progress, no matter how small, was progress. Zira entered the chamber without a sound. Harper noticed how graceful her movements were, almost like flowing water. She stopped a few steps away and watched him work. Harper had grown used to her presence, yet he still felt a strange nervousness whenever she was near. "You continue your work," Zira said through the translator device, her voice calm and soft. "Your methods are unusual, but effective." Harper paused, wiping his hands on a cloth. "Unusual is fine if it works," he said lightly. "I just want your people to be safe." Zira tilted her head, as if studying him. There was a pause before she spoke again. You care for them. Not for reward, not for recognition. That is rare. Harper shrugged. I'm a soldier. Protecting lives is what I do. Doesn't matter if they're human or Xylar. For a moment, Zira said nothing. Harper continued his work, checking vitals, adjusting nutrient infusions, and observing the slow, steady recovery of the sick Xylar. He realized that their physiology was far more complex than he had imagined. They healed quickly if cared for properly, but their systems were delicate. A single mistake could cause severe consequences. As the day went on, Harper found himself learning as much from the Xylar as they did from him. He noticed the small gestures they used to communicate, subtle shifts in color, a quick flick of a limb, the hum of their voice. The translator device helped, but some things could only be understood by observation and patience. Zyra remained nearby, silent for the most part. Harper could feel her curiosity. It was unusual for a queen to allow a stranger such close access, but Harper's actions had earned her trust. He wondered what she thought of him. He had always seen humans as capable, but often self-interested. Zyra's silence made him question his own assumptions. By afternoon, Harper had organized a system to care for the sick Xylar more efficiently. He set up stations for nourishment, hydration, and monitoring vitals. The hive workers followed his instructions with precision, their movements almost synchronized. Harper was impressed by their discipline and teamwork. It reminded him that survival depended not just on strength, but on coordination and empathy. Zira approached him as he checked on a particularly weak Xylar. Harper carefully applied a nutrient gel to the alien's skin, watching the subtle color shift as it absorbed the solution. You observe carefully, Zira said. You notice what others do not. It is valuable. Harper looked up, meeting her gaze. I notice because I want to help, that's all. I can't just stand by and do nothing. Her eyes softened slightly. Perhaps that is why you are different. Humans often act out of fear or ambition. You act out of concern. Harper felt a warmth at her words. I don't know if I'm different. I just do what feels right. For the next few hours, Harper continued working, often side by side with Xylar aides. He taught them some human techniques, how to administer precise doses of nutrients, how to monitor vital signs, and how to adjust environmental conditions to aid recovery. They watched closely, absorbing every detail. Harper realized that teaching was as important as healing. Knowledge could save more lives than medicine alone. Later, Harper explored a different part of the hive under the guidance of a Xylar aide. He marveled at the architecture, chambers that glowed softly, tubes that transported nutrients throughout the hive, and areas where Xylar larvae rested and grew. Everything seemed interconnected, like a living organism. He could see why the queen was so important. Her well-being affected every part of the hive. As evening approached, Harper returned to the central chamber. Zyra was waiting, standing gracefully beside a glowing wall. Her presence was calm, yet commanding. You have spent much time with our people today, she said. You begin to understand them. That is, rare among outsiders. Harper nodded. I learn because I care. Your hive deserves that much. Zira's eyes flickered with a color Harper had not seen before, a soft, golden hue. You are patient. You do not judge. That is why the workers trust you. Harper smiled faintly. It's not about trust. It's about helping. Trust comes later. There was a pause. Harper felt the silence between them as something more than words. He could sense Zira's thoughts and emotions through subtle vibrations, the way her body color shifted gently. It was strange, almost overwhelming, but he did not pull away. Somehow, he understood that this bond was important, not just for him, but for the hive. Suddenly, a disturbance came from deeper within the hive. A weak alarm hum echoed through the corridors. Harper's instincts kicked in. He followed Zyra to a cluster of Xylar workers who had collapsed unexpectedly. Their skin was dim, their movements slow. Harper quickly assessed the situation. "They need immediate care," he said. "Nutrients, hydration, and warmth. I can stabilize them." Zyra nodded, and Harper worked swiftly, administering treatments and instructing aides. Within minutes, the Xylar workers regained some of their strength. Harper felt relief, but also the weight of responsibility. Every life mattered here, and mistakes could be fatal. After the incident, Harper and Zyra stood in the central chamber, observing the hive. The workers moved with renewed energy, and the sick were stabilizing. Harper realized that the bond between humans and Xylar was more than physical. It was emotional and intellectual. Cooperation, understanding, and empathy had saved lives today. "You have done well," Zyra said softly. "But there is more to come. Challenges are not yet finished. Still, your presence brings hope." Harper looked at her. "Hope is what we all need, and I'm not leaving until your hive is safe." Zyra tilted her head slightly, her expression unreadable but thoughtful. "Perhaps that is why you are here, not by duty alone, but by choice. That is rare." Night fell over Virelia, and the twin moons cast gentle light through the hive walls. Harper rested briefly, reflecting on the day. He realized that this mission was not just about healing bodies, it was about building trust, understanding a new culture, and proving that humans could be allies, not just warriors. Somewhere deep in the hive, Zyra watched him with curiosity and something else, a hint of respect. Harper knew their bond was growing, slow but steady. In time, it could change not just the hive, but the way two species saw each other. For the first time since arriving on Virelia, Harper felt a sense of purpose beyond duty. He was not just a soldier, he was a healer, a teacher, and a bridge between worlds. And as he closed his eyes that night, he knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, but also new opportunities to prove that humans could truly help, in ways no one had expected. The next morning, Captain Alex Harper woke to an uneasy silence in the hive. The usual hum of activity was quieter than normal, and the glow of the walls seemed dimmer. Harper had been growing used to the hive's rhythm, and this sudden change made him alert. Something was wrong. He hurried to the central chamber, where Zyra was already waiting. Her colors flickered nervously. A pattern Harper had learned indicated concern. "There is disturbance," she said through the translator. "Outside the hive, foreign ships approach. They are not friendly." Harper's heart tightened. An interstellar corporation had been rumored to explore Virelia for resources, but he had not expected them to attack so soon. "How many ships?" he asked. Zyra tilted her head. 5. Large. Weapons and machines. They aim to harvest the forest. They do not care for life, only profit. Harper felt a surge of determination. "Then we stop them. We defend your people." The Queen's eyes softened slightly. "You will fight? With us?" Harper nodded. "Yes, I know tactics, strategy, and survival. Together we can protect your hive." The hive workers moved quickly to prepare. Harper observed as Xylar coordinated their defenses with precision. Their bodies shifted colors, signaling readiness and strength. Harper realized that combining human strategy with Xylar instincts could be powerful. As the foreign ships descended, Harper and the Xylar positioned themselves near the forest edge. The ships fired beams that cut through the trees, but the Xylar retaliated with energy pulses from their own technology, their motions synchronized perfectly. Harper guided small squads, using cover, diversion tactics, and traps he quickly devised from available materials. Despite their courage, the Xylar were outnumbered. Harper noticed some workers faltering under the stress. He moved among them, encouraging, directing, and shielding them from danger. His presence inspired confidence. Even the most timid workers followed his lead. Amid the chaos, Harper saw Zira confronting one of the corporate drones near the hive entrance. The queen moved with precision and power, but a blast from the drone knocked her to the ground. Harper's stomach lurched. Without thinking, he ran to her side, dodging debris and energy fire. "Stay with me," he shouted as he pulled her out of harm's way. He administered an emergency energy stabilizer, something he had adapted from human medical tech. The device hummed, sending a soft pulse into Zira's body. Her colors shifted erratically at first, then settled into a calmer, brighter pattern. She breathed steadily again. Harper helped her to her feet. Zira's gaze met his, and he could see a mixture of gratitude and astonishment. "You saved me," she said softly through the translator. Harper shook his head. "I couldn't let you die. Not when your people need you." The battle continued outside, but Harper and Zira worked as a team. Harper directed Xylar defenses, using terrain and strategy to create choke points and shield the hive. Zyra coordinated workers to move the injured to safety, her commands precise and commanding. Slowly, the tide began to turn. Harper noticed that the combination of human ingenuity and Xylar instinct was more effective than either alone. Finally, the corporation ships, realizing their plans were failing, began to retreat. The forest was scarred, but the hive stood intact. Harper and Zyra watched the ships disappear into the distance. Relief washed over him, but it was short-lived. Zyra suddenly stumbled. Harper grabbed her immediately. Her colors flickered in unusual patterns: confusion, alarm, and then something Harper did not understand. "What's happening?" he asked urgently. Zira's voice was calm but strange. "A reaction, unexpected. Your intervention, it affected me." Harper frowned. "Reaction? What do you mean?" Zira's body glowed softly, and Harper noticed a subtle pulse within her. The translator device struggled to interpret the signals. Slowly, it delivered a message. "You have saved my life. My body now carries potential life. Linked to you." Harper froze. He had not anticipated this. "Potential life? Linked to me?" Zira's eyes met his. There was no fear, only trust and acceptance. "Yes, the process. Biological, unknown to our species. It is rare, perhaps unique. It is a miracle." Harper's mind raced. A human influence on the Queen's life? A hybrid potential? The implications were enormous, and he realized this was far beyond anything he had trained for. Yet, he felt a deep responsibility. He had saved her, and now he had a role in what was coming. For the rest of the day, Harper stayed by Zira's side. He monitored her health, adjusted nutrient infusions, and ensured she was stable. The hive workers watched quietly, a mix of curiosity and reverence in their movements. Harper could feel the hive's awareness of the event. The pulse of life within their queen had shifted the energy of the entire colony. As night fell, Harper and Zyra were alone in the central chamber. The air was heavy with anticipation. Harper's hands were steady, but his heart was racing. This changes everything," he said quietly. Zira's gaze met his, soft but firm. "It does, yet it is not to be feared. You acted with care. That care has given life a chance. That is rare." Harper nodded. "I will do whatever I can. I don't understand it fully, but I will protect you and this life. Whatever it is." Zira shifted slightly. A gesture Harper had learned indicated approval. "You are different from others of your kind. You act with thought, compassion, and courage. That is why this is possible." For the first time, Harper felt a strange connection beyond words, not just to Zira, but to the life growing within her. It was delicate, mysterious, and profoundly important. The bond between human and Xylar had deepened in ways he had never imagined. The hive itself seemed to respond. Soft pulses of light moved through the walls, as if acknowledging the event. Harper could feel the energy, a living rhythm of trust, life, and unity. He realized that this miracle was not just about survival. It was about hope. Hope for the Xylar, for humanity, and for the possibility of cooperation between species. The child within Zyra could become a bridge, a symbol of understanding and strength. Harper stayed awake much of the night, ensuring the queen remained safe. He adjusted nutrient flows, monitored vital signs, and kept a watchful eye on the hive. Despite exhaustion, he felt a sense of purpose unlike anything he had known before. He was no longer just a soldier. He was a protector of life in a way he had never imagined. As dawn approached, Harper looked out over the glowing forest. The battle had ended, but the work was far from over. Zira rested beside him, her body calm, the pulse of life steady and strong. He could feel the weight of the responsibility, but also the promise of something extraordinary. Harper whispered quietly to himself, "I just wanted to help. And somehow, this happened. I'll make sure it means something good." The twin moons of Virelia faded as sunlight touched the hive walls. Harper watched the light shift across the chamber, casting brilliant reflections. In that moment, he understood that his mission had transformed. It was no longer only about healing the sick or defending the hive. It was about nurturing a future that neither humans nor Xylar had imagined possible. And somewhere deep within the hive, Zyra's gaze found his again, calm and knowing. Together, they would face what came next. Whatever challenges awaited, Harper knew one thing clearly. Humanity had proven that it could be more than strong. It could be compassionate, clever, and capable of creating miracles. The days following the battle were tense. Virelia's forest was scarred in places, and the hive buzzed with quiet anxiety. Captain Alex Harper moved carefully among the Xylar, attending to the sick, repairing damaged structures, and maintaining the delicate balance of life within the hive. But he could sense an undercurrent of unease among some of the workers. The news of Zira's unexpected pregnancy had spread. Harper could feel the subtle shifts in color and body language, the signals of uncertainty, curiosity, and caution. While many Xylar accepted his presence, others whispered among themselves, questioning the influence of a human on their queen. Harper knew he could not simply ignore this. Respecting their culture was as important as healing their bodies. Zyra called Harper to the central chamber, her colors muted but steady. The hive quieted as he entered. "You have saved me, and perhaps our future," she said softly. "Yet, not all Xylar see this as they should. Some fear what your presence has brought." Harper nodded. "I understand. I don't want to interfere in your traditions. I only want to help. Whatever I can do to ease the concern, I will." Zyra studied him for a long moment. "Then you will learn our ways more deeply. Observe and respect. Only then can you help the hive accept what has happened." Over the next days, Harper immersed himself in Xylar customs. He learned the rituals surrounding the queen, the careful tending of the hive, and the symbolism of life and growth. Each action had meaning. A misstep could offend, but Harper's patience and attentiveness began to earn quiet admiration. Despite his efforts, tensions rose. A council of elder Xylar approached Zira, their colors flickering with agitation. They spoke through the translator device, their voices tense. "The queen carries life influenced by a human. This is unprecedented. Tradition demands caution. The hive questions your judgment." Zira's colors flickered, and Harper could feel her determination. This life is part of the future. Harper acted with care, wisdom, and courage. He saved me, and he saved the hive. That cannot be denied. The elders shifted nervously. Harper stepped forward, trying to convey calm and respect. "I do not seek to control or replace your traditions," he said. "I only wish to help. The life growing within Zyra is a miracle, yes, but it is fragile. My goal is to protect it and support the hive." The council was silent for a moment, absorbing his words. Finally, the eldest spoke. "Perhaps your actions are not harmful, but the future of the hive depends on vigilance and unity. You must prove your commitment." Harper nodded solemnly. "I will, whatever it takes." To demonstrate his commitment, Harper began working alongside the Xylar in new ways. He helped reinforce the hive structure where damage from the attack remained, adjusted environmental conditions to aid the queen's recovery, and organized nourishment schedules for both the sick and the strong. The workers watched his dedication, and slowly, trust began to grow. During this time, Harper also began to notice changes in Zyra. The pulse of life within her was steady, and subtle energy fluctuations hinted at something extraordinary. The translator device struggled to interpret these changes, but Harper could sense their significance. He realized that the child, though still developing, was already demonstrating signs of hybrid potential, adaptability, rapid healing, and keen awareness. One evening, Harper and Zyra sat together in a quiet chamber, separated from the hive's bustle. Harper carefully monitored the queen's condition, adjusting nutrient infusions and checking for stress. Zyra watched him, her eyes reflecting a mixture of curiosity and trust. "You have done much for us," she said softly. "Yet there are still doubts. Some fear that your presence changes more than it should." Harper paused. "Perhaps it does. But change is not always bad. Sometimes it can make things stronger. I only want the hive to thrive." Zyra's colors shifted slowly, a subtle expression Harper had come to understand as thoughtfulness. "You speak truth, but the future is uncertain. The child within me, it will carry both our strengths. That is powerful and rare. It may challenge old ways, but it could also unify the hive and our species with yours." Harper nodded. "Then we face it together. I'll support you, and the hive, every step of the way." As the days passed, Harper continued to work tirelessly. The Xylar began to adapt to his presence. Workers who had once been skeptical now followed his instructions without hesitation. Even some of the elders began to show subtle approval, acknowledging that Harper's dedication was genuine. During this time, Harper also helped the Xylar develop new strategies for survival. He combined human innovation with Xylar instinct, creating better ways to store nutrients, purify water, and stabilize the hive's living spaces. His ideas were practical, but more importantly, they demonstrated that collaboration could lead to stronger results than tradition alone. The queen's pregnancy progressed. Harper observed subtle changes in Zyra's energy patterns. She required more support, and Harper provided it with care and patience. He realized that this life, this hybrid potential, was more than a miracle. It was a responsibility. Protecting it meant protecting the unity of the hive itself. One morning, Harper was called to the council chamber. The elders had convened to discuss the next steps. Harper approached carefully, aware of the cultural importance of the moment. "You have earned attention," the eldest said. "Your actions speak of honor and care, yet we must consider the future. This child, it is unprecedented. We must ensure it strengthens the hive, not weakens it." Harper bowed respectfully. "I understand. I only wish to ensure the child survives and thrives, and that the hive remains strong." Zyra's presence beside him gave him courage. "Harper has proven his loyalty and wisdom," she said. "The hive's survival is his goal, as it is mine. Together, we will face whatever comes." The council remained silent. Then, slowly, One by one, the elders began to shift colors, a sign of acceptance. Harper felt a wave of relief. It was not full approval yet, but it was a start. The hive was beginning to accept that cooperation between species could lead to strength rather than weakness. Over the following weeks, Harper and Zira worked to strengthen bonds within the hive. They organized training for the workers, taught them hybrid techniques, and shared knowledge that allowed the hive to recover more quickly from the attack. Slowly, the Xyler learned to see Harper not as an outsider, but as a trusted ally. The Queen's child continued to grow within her, and Harper observed its progress with awe. It was small, fragile, yet powerful in ways that could change the future. The hive sensed this potential, and the energy within the chambers began to shift. A quiet hum of hope, unity, and anticipation. One evening, Harper sat beside Zira in the central chamber. The hive glowed softly around them. He reached out, touching the Queen's arm gently. "You are strong," he said. "The child will inherit that strength, and so will the hive." Zira's colors shimmered warmly. "And you have shown us the strength of humanity, courage, care, wisdom. These are qualities the hive can learn from. Together, we can face anything." Harper smiled faintly. "Then we'll make sure the future is bright, for the child, for the hive, for all of us." As the night deepened, the pulse of the hive felt steady, vibrant, and alive. Harper realized that trust, respect, and unity were as powerful as any technology or weapon. The challenges were far from over, but hope had taken root. Humanity and Xylar had begun a bond that could change both their futures. And somewhere deep in the hive, Zyra's gaze found Harper's again, calm and assured. The Queen's trust, once fragile, was now growing into something enduring. The child within her, a symbol of unity, represented not only life, but the possibility of a new beginning, where two species could thrive together, stronger than either alone. Harper understood this truth deeply. Helping was not just about saving lives, it was about building bridges, earning trust, and showing that even the smallest acts of care could reshape the future. The dawn light spilled over Varelia, painting the hive in soft gold and green. Captain Alex Harper stood in the central chamber, watching Zira move gracefully among her workers. The Queen's energy was steady, her pulse even, but there was a subtle tension in the air. The child within her was nearing birth. Every moment counted. Harper had spent countless hours preparing, nutrient infusions, environmental adjustments, protective wards around the hive, all were ready. Yet he felt a nervous anticipation he had never experienced in any battle or mission. This was no ordinary task. This life, fragile and unprecedented, would shape the future of two species. Zyra approached him, her eyes calm, but filled with an unspoken question. Harper smiled reassuringly. "I'm ready," he said softly. "We'll make sure everything goes smoothly." The Queen nodded. Together. Soon, subtle signs began, shifts in Zira's energy patterns, gentle tremors within the hive, and faint pulses in her shimmering body. The Queen's advisors moved quickly, tending to her with precision, while Harper monitored her vitals and adjusted nutrient flows. "This is it," he whispered to himself, feeling the weight of responsibility. He remembered his first day in the hive, the frightened, sick workers, and the cautious gaze of the Queen. How far they had come. The birth process was unlike anything Harper had encountered. Zira's body glowed softly, pulsating with energy as the child's life began to emerge. Harper observed carefully, ensuring that every adjustment kept the Queen safe. His hands were steady, but his heart raced. He knew that every action mattered. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. The hive seemed to hold its breath, the workers moving with tense attention, ready to respond to any signal. Harper felt the Queen's energy shift, the pulse of life within her reaching a crescendo. Finally, With a soft, brilliant glow, the child emerged. It was small, delicate, yet radiating an energy Harper could feel even from a distance. Its skin shimmered faintly with a blend of human warmth and Xylar iridescence. The translator device struggled to capture the signals, but Harper understood the meaning. Life, hope, unity. Zyra held her child carefully, her colors flowing in a pattern of joy, relief, and pride. Harper moved closer, observing the child's subtle movements, tiny flicks of limbs, soft pulses of light, and the first signs of awareness. It was alive, vibrant, and perfect in its own miraculous way. "You did this," Zyra said softly, her gaze meeting Harper's. "You saved us. And this child exists because of your care." Harper shook his head, humbled. "I didn't do it alone. You fought for your people, for the child. I only helped." The hive seemed to pulse in harmony with the new life. Workers approached cautiously, then with growing smiles and gestures of approval. The elders watched silently, their colors gradually shifting in acknowledgement. Harper realized that the child represented more than life. It symbolized a bond between humans and Xylar, a bridge that could unite them forever. Over the following days, Harper worked tirelessly with Zyra to ensure the child's survival. He adapted human knowledge to Xylar needs, creating nurturing spaces, monitoring energy flows, and guiding workers on the best ways to support the queen and her child. Each day the child grew stronger, demonstrating incredible resilience. The hive itself seemed to respond to the presence of hybrid life. Energy pulses were steadier, work flowed more smoothly, and a sense of unity pervaded every chamber. Harper noticed subtle signs of intelligence and awareness in the child, tiny gestures, shifting glows, and an uncanny adaptability. One evening, Harper sat beside Zyra in a quiet chamber, watching the child rest safely in her arms. The queen's gaze met his, calm and full of gratitude. "This child will change everything," she said softly. "Not just for the hive, but for our species, and for yours." Harper nodded. "I hope so. We've proven we can work together. Now we have to show that this can last." Zyra's colors shimmered with warmth. "It will, with care, respect, and unity. You have shown that humanity is capable of more than strength alone. You have shown courage, wisdom, and compassion. That is why this life is possible." Harper felt a profound sense of accomplishment. He realized that his mission had evolved far beyond healing the sick or defending the hive. He had become part of something larger, a movement that could change the destiny of an entire species. As weeks passed, the child grew rapidly, its hybrid traits becoming more pronounced. Harper marveled at the intelligence, awareness, and energy of the little being. It learned quickly, mimicking Xylar gestures while demonstrating human adaptability. The hive began to see the child as a symbol of hope and possibility. The elders, once skeptical, now approached Harper and Zyra with cautious respect. Their gestures were subtle but unmistakable, approval, acknowledgement, and recognition of Harper's dedication. Harper realized that actions, more than words, had changed opinions and built bridges. The day finally came when Harper could stand back and observe the hive in full harmony. Workers moved with purpose, the queen rested confidently, and the child's presence radiated energy and life. Harper felt a swell of pride and humility. He had come to Varelia as a soldier, but he was leaving as a healer, protector, and bridge between species. Zyra approached him, her eyes calm but bright. "You have done more than survive here," she said. "You have shown that humans can inspire trust, unity, and hope. That is rare and precious." Harper smiled faintly. "I only wanted to help. Everything else came from working with you and your people." Zyra extended a limb, touching Harper gently. "Together we have changed the course of the hive's future. The child symbolizes that change. We will grow stronger because of it." Harper nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. Humanity had reached a new level of cooperation, not through conquest or force, but through compassion, ingenuity, and dedication. He realized that this story, his story, was only the beginning of a new chapter for both species. Outside the hive, Virelia's forest shimmered under twin moons and distant stars. The scars from the attack slowly healed, nourished by the hive's resilience and the combined knowledge of human and Xylar. Harper felt a sense of peace and purpose he had never known. He looked at Zyra and the child resting in her arms, the soft glow reflecting on their faces. Life had triumphed, not by chance, but by courage, care, and unity. Harper knew that their bond, human and Xylar, soldier and queen, would shape the future in ways no one could have predicted. For the first time in his life, he felt the quiet pride of knowing that his actions had created more than survival. They had created hope, trust, and a new dawn for two species, bound together by life, respect, and the extraordinary potential of a child that was both human and Xylar. As night deepened, Harper stood at the edge of the chamber, watching the hive pulse with energy. He whispered softly to himself, "I just wanted to help. And now, look at what we've achieved." The twin moons reflected on the forest, on the hive, and on the small hybrid child whose life had already begun to shape a brighter future. Harper knew that challenges would continue, but hope, unity, and trust had taken root, and nothing could break that bond.